The Town Where Time Slows Down. Episode 1. The daytime paused at noon. No one in the town of Briar Hollow noticed anything unusual at first. At exactly 12 o'clock, the church bell rang as it always did, one long, steady note drifting over rooftops and down quiet streets. People paused just long enough to count it, then returned to their lunches, their conversations, their small daily routines. At least, that's what should have happened. Instead, the bell rang. And something stayed behind. It was subtle. So subtle that most people missed it entirely. The steam rising from soup bowls stopped curling upward and simply hovered in place. A bird mid-flight over the square hung in the air, wings stretched wide as if painted against the sky. The shadow of the clock tower froze halfway across the cobblestones. And yet, life didn't fully stop. Clara Ellison was the first to notice because she was already paying attention. She worked in her father's old bookshop at the edge of the square, a narrow place with shelves that leaned slightly inward, as though listening. Clara had been reaching for a book on the highest shelf when she realized her arm felt heavy. Not tired, not weak. Heavy, like the air itself had thickened. She turned toward the window just as a leaf drifted past, and stopped. It didn't fall. It didn't rise. It simply stayed there, suspended, trembling faintly. Clara lowered her arm. Her heart began to beat faster. She stepped closer to the glass. Outside, people were moving, but slowly. Not frozen like the leaf, not exactly normal either. Each step seemed to take more effort than it should, as if they were wading through water no one else could see. The clock tower stood in the center of the square, its great face glaring white against the sky. The minute hand pointed straight up. 12. It did not move. Clara checked the small watch on her wrist. It, too, read 12 o'clock. She waited. 1 second passed, then another. Nothing changed. A strange quiet settled over the town. Not silence, but something deeper. As if the world were holding its breath. Clara pushed open the shop door and stepped outside. The bell's echo still lingered in the air, thin and metallic. She could almost trace it with her fingers. "Does anyone else see this?" she asked. Her voice sounded normal. Too normal. A man across the square turned toward her slowly, his brow furrowed in confusion, as though her words took time to reach him. "I think so," he said, after a pause that felt longer than it should have been. A woman nearby laughed nervously. "Is this some sort of trick?" But no one was smiling. Clara looked back at the leaf. It finally dropped to the ground, as if it had remembered what it was supposed to do. Then, just as quietly as it had begun, the heaviness lifted. Steam rose again. The bird finished its flight. The shadow slid forward. The clock's minute hand ticked once. 12:01. The town exhaled. People looked at one another, embarrassed, uncertain. Someone joked about needing less coffee. Someone else blamed the heat. Within minutes, Briar Hollow returned to normal. Almost. Clara stayed where she was, staring at the clock tower. She felt it now. A faint resistance, like the air still hadn't quite forgiven time for moving again. She went back into the bookshop and locked the door behind her. Her father's old desk sat in the corner, untouched since he'd left the town years ago. She opened its bottom drawer without really knowing why. Inside lay a small notebook she had never seen before. Its cover was worn soft, the pages yellowed at the edges. On the first page, written in careful, deliberate handwriting, were the words, "If you are reading this, then time has begun to slow again." Clara swallowed. She turned the page. "Do not panic. Do not tell everyone." And whatever you do, do not try to fix it alone. Outside, the clock tower chimed again. Once, softly, as if reminding the town it was still watching. Clara closed the notebook. Somewhere deep inside her, she knew this was only the beginning.